I didn't realize you have 12.8% of your assets under management in Tesla at this point.
Yeah, because it went up 20 times in the past 2 or 3 years. If you might remember, when I was on initially, and I was describing the investment, I said I thought we would make 20 times our money in this investment. And what do you know? We invested $380 million, and between 2014 and 2016, the average price was then about $40 a share. And we've made about $1 billion, about 20 times so far. So we made about $6 billion so far. We sold about $1 billion worth of stock.
Just because you didn't want it to be an even bigger position in the portfolio?
Yes. Well, what it was is that I was getting widely criticized for having such a large percentage of my assets in 2 of our mutual funds, Barron Partners Fund and Barron Focused Growth Fund, in one stock. And people said, how can you be so crazy? And so I wanted them to think I wasn't crazy. I know I'm crazy. but they didn't want, I want to be responsible to people, and I didn't want people to say, he's lost his mind. And even though I think for Tesla, this is the very beginning of what they're doing. I mean, they just reported numbers a couple of days ago, and they said that they did 310,000 cars in a quarter, in the 3-month period of time, 310,000. General Motors did 24. Not 24,000, 24. And I'm a huge fan of Mary Barra, and I think she will be successful. And they have this cruise inside of it that I think is going to be a very cool business. And we're an investor in Cruise through her private company. But where was I?
Well, just in terms of what will you do next? So you think GM will be successful too? You think this is just the beginning for Tesla, meaning what?
Yeah, so they did 310,000 cars in the quarter, and people said, well, they should have done 317,000 cars in the quarter. And but the plant in China was closed for about 4 or 5 days, and there's supply chain problems in this period of time. And so everyone's focused on this quarter for 310,000 cars. In 4 years, 3 years, they're going to be doing $1 million a quarter, not 310,000. A million cars a quarter. And if you go 10 years, they're going to be doing something like 5 million cars a quarter. So here you are doing 310,000 cars, and people saying a few thousand more, a few thousand less. I'm thinking about in 8 or 10 years, this is 20 million car company.
You expect to still be an investor in 8 to 10 years?
Yes.
Are you selling any more shares?
Periodically, if people say, if it gets crazy big relative to the size of the fund right now, then I would. I own 1 million quarter shares for our firm in the company. I have not sold a single share of that, and I don't expect to.
Okay.
In my lifetime.
In your lifetime, you don't expect?
In my lifetime.
Okay.
And the same thing with SpaceX. So I think we're going to make 3 or 4 or 5 times our money in the next 10 years in Tesla. And I think it's
again from on top of the 20 that you've made.
And in the case of SpaceX, I think over the next 10 years, we're probably going to make 20 or 30 times our money.
When do you think that company goes public?
I think that it's unlikely that SpaceX is going to go public anytime soon. But this Starlink business that they have, I think that could go public in the next 3 years. And that's the business that is ultimately looking, that's this, I was describing to you about Ukraine. I think that's a business that could ultimately is addressing a potential, they call it TAM, total addressable market, of $1 trillion, actually multiple trillions, communications. And so it's for the government, it's for commercial, it's for people who don't have internet. If you want to have more equitable distribution of wealth in the world, you have to have people educated. The way you get educated, you have to have the internet. If you don't have the internet, you can't accomplish that. So this is broadband satellite internet, and it's an unbelievable business. And the reason they can do it and other people can't is that they have no cost for launch. So I want to talk about this. And so when everyone else has launch costs of $100 million, $200 million, $300 million per rocket, and they use it one time and then it burns up. Our guy sends up his rockets, brings it back down, and uses them over and over again. So his cost is a tiny fraction of the cost of a rocket.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.